destroyed. It has destroyed modern comedy. It's so fucking bad.
Healthy fellas.
Is that their title? Army of Healthy Fellas is so good.
You just got to, got to stay and keep the machine.
The machine's got to be good.
Yeah.
That's a shot at Bert. Go ahead.
What do you think the Austin shelf life is going to be?
Well, I don't know. Like, I think that it's so effectively tribalized at this point. It really comes down to material. I mean, at what point, it's like whatever they represented in terms of policy. And it's not a stretch. It's like they won. Trans people are frightened. They have no ability to get health care anymore. And they're afraid of being alive and have no freedom left. So that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
When do you stop with the jokes?
And like immigrants, okay, well, they're being ripped away from their homes, and they're all terrified, and okay, so that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to pick on the vulnerable and the marginalized, but I mean, they're down.
Artistic high ground.
That your television career, not news radio particularly, but Fear Factor was antithetical to who you are now, and that I thought it was hard for me to accept that you were able to stand in a position of judgment of what comedy is or isn't, having done Fear Factor and the impact it had on the comedy business and television.
That's an interesting angle, and I gotta think that angle's got to be coming from some weird animosity that you might have had to me already before this, because first of all, I mean, how many sitcom writers are really comics? It's very few.
Well, they
and
all.
How many people
a lot of them started as comics. I'm just saying in comedy in general.
You can't say that that's taking away jobs.
Are becoming more valid by the day. And now, instead of having animosity or disdain for Joe, Mark labels it as reasonable criticism. So at the end of the day, whether you think Mark Maron is bitter or just finally saying what a lot of comics won't, his beef with Joe Rogan has taken a new level of depth. Like it started as a personal rivalry, but now it's evolved into this broader cultural clash.
Maron couldn't figure out exactly what it was that caused this kind of immediate reflexive distaste in what Joe Rogan was doing. And after 15 years of Joe Rogan's career unfolding in the ways that it did, he's been vindicated. You missed Tim Cook giving Trump a 1-to-1 Apple trophy. Yeah, sometimes people have an ick and then they work through it and they realize they were wrong. Other times people have an ick and they are vindicated for being right from the start. Okay? And in this circumstance, I think Mark Maron's gut led him to make the correct decision early on. Tim Cook gave him a 24 karat gold, by the way. 24 karat gold Le Beau Beau? We got to see this.
I did very well there. I like it because I see I did very well there. I did very well in Kentucky, but it's a great place. You're going to be very happy. I thought maybe while we're up, I'll interrupt my own speech by you might show them a little bit about the product that you're going to be doing in Kentucky, Tim.
Absolutely. Do you mind if I step up?
Yes,
here?
please.
This box was made in the U.S., in California.
A 24 karat gold Le Beau Beau.
It's engraved for President Trump. It's a unique.
This is one of the funniest things because, like, Tim Apple, also known as Tim Cook by many others, is like one of the companies, he's in charge of one of the companies that just never shied away from continuing to be woke. Okay. And he just kept pushing. And there's no calls for demanding that Apple stop being woke. Like, if that's what you care about, if that's one of the things you care about, like, no, they went full DEI. They're still doing full DEI. He's still very much woke. Now, he's ass kissing the Mr. Anti-woke, but it has been interesting to see. This dynamic has been interesting to see because you got like all these other companies being like, oh, we're going to do beef tallow in our French fries, like fucking Steak and Shake or whatever. And then Tim Apple is still very much woke and very much gay. Okay.
Unit of One. It was designed by a U.S. Marine Corps corporal, a former one that works at Apple now.
It's good. He's done well.
Designed it for you. And the base comes from Utah and is 24 karat gold. And it's
24 karat gold. La boo boo.
sits. I'll take the liberty of setting it up.
It's gross. It's so perfect for Trump.
Well,
But what makes this hysterical is they're not even manufacturing iPhones in the U.S. moving forward, just investing in the U.S. And conservatives are like, what can you criticize now, Dems?
there we go. Congratulations,
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
President.
It's
Thank you so
fantastic.
much.
The great people of Kentucky. You're going to find it a great place to do business, too. It's fantastic. And then more than $100 billion. TSMC
Woke is dead.
investing $200 billion. Johnson & Johnson, $55 billion. Merck, Stellantis, and General Motors are putting many, many billions in. They haven't determined the final number. And many other countries are investing tens of billions of dollars that I'm not going to give you the whole list.
It's crazy.
because
Why
this
is Tim
too
doing
long
this?
to-
I don't know. Look at the fucking Apple stock prices after this. You kiss the ring. You kiss the ring. You get good press, and your fucking stock price increases. It's all for the stonk.
Rapidly. Costs are way down. You know, I listen to these horrendous frauds on CNN and various other fake news networks, and they say costs are up. No, costs are down. Gasoline is down. It's going to soon, I believe, be less than $2 a gallon. It's around $2.40 right now, many places, other than in California where they tax you out of business, but and a couple of others. But gasoline is way down. The price of groceries are
Yeah, nailed it. Fucking nailed it. That's it. Fucking nailed it. In the simplest terms, none of the fucking comedy greats that people actually look back at positively have ever spent a good deal of time punching down. They always punch up. In the simplest terms, like comedy could be something as stupid as like a fart joke, or it can be something as interesting as unwinding the structural inequities that we all exist under in a humorous way. I also do love, Santino is one of the unspoken greats of modern comedy. No, I think he's fucking hilarious.
Another issue that Mark has with Joe Rogan was one that Mark's had a problem with since the early 90s, which is that comedy is supposed to be for the quote-unquote sensitive weirdos, not necessarily for the high school locker room bullies that Joe Rogan's ushered in. And even though I don't fully agree with this stance, since to me, if you're funny, you're funny, it is a stance that I've seen other comics take, like when Tim Dillon was calling out Brendan Schaub right after he released his insult of a comedy special, Gringo Poppy.
When I watch Brendan do that, it's like I go, here's a big, tough guy who I should just see in a Ferrari, and he should be able to rip people's faces off with his catcher mid-hands. And I see him running around the stage going, oh! I go, you're gay now.
By the way, all the Joe Rogan dick riders of the world all go back to one man who has irreversibly ruined comedy, Andrew Dice Clay. Oh, for sure. That's the biggest red flag. When motherfuckers are like, oh, Andrew Dice Clay, like, that's the great, that's the GOAT. It's like, nah, dude, you are like, no. That's for the fucking, that is the most NPC version of comedy. It's the most coworker bit you can ever arrive at. Dane Cook, Andrew Dice Clay. Nah, fuck that. They're not even in the same conversation. They're nowhere near in the same conversation as like a Richard Pryor or a Bill Hicks or a fucking George Carlin, obviously. And even Dane Cook didn't do the fucking punching down bit, for the record. Just make no mistake. It's just like hacky stuff, but like he didn't also punch down. There's like hacks that don't make bullying random people their only bit. You know, the shock. And then there are actually funny comedians who have mastered the art of shock humor as well. I would go so far as to say that even Daniel Tosh, maybe not for everybody. had a much better grip on this. Or what's the other one that also was shitting on? Anthony Jeselnik has a much better grip on like doing shock humor than a guy who's just like going up on stage and being like, trans people are fucking weird, right? Gross. It's a man wearing a dress. Ha ha ha. You should, as a comedian, I think, and I'm not a comedian, I'm just a fan of comedy. The one thing I always have said is, if you're looking for this, instead of ha 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 this, you've lost the plot. Okay? The moment that you're like looking for cheap applause breaks from the worst fucking people on the planet is the moment where you've already lost the plot. You've lost it.
Become gay.
Why
are you gay?
He was a fucking knight. He was a knight.
He was a knight. He's a
and
knight.
now he's a jester.
Now he's gay.
He's a gay jester.
He's a gay man. He's a fully gay man. When you watch the special, he's like, woo!
So Mark's main issue with this is that the weirdo alt comics have sort of been pushed to the side in recent times. And when Mark brings this point up to Bobby Lee, he actually gets him to join in on trashing Austin comics, which was just great to see.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So, and the bigger problem about what you're saying, is I think we all still do exist, but the nature of the comedy business is fragmented and some of it's tribalized. But there used to be a lot more weirdos around who were kind of exciting and interesting and took it a different place. I would argue with just talky talk comedy, there's not that many people bringing it to a different place, dude.
Right.
There
Well,
just
there is some good ones that, like, I think that kid Casey Rocket's really entertaining and fun and different and unique. I think they're there, right?
Yeah.
I think the problem is there's so much sludge, there's so much shit, there's way more noise than we've ever fucking seen.
Yeah.
So it's hard to appreciate or even care because all that's really being shown is kind of the constant, like, give it to him, give it to him, give it to him, give it to him. So I get it.
I'm tired of the attitude.
I thought you were going to say violence in this country.
No. I'm tired. They come up back to L.A. One guy, I want to name his name, and go, "Oh, you seem like you're thriving." And he goes, "I'm killing it."
Killing it.
You know what I mean?
The guys talking about the comedians of comedy, guys like David Cross, Mr. Show with Bob and David, were all mostly anti-Israel. Yeah. All the good comics are. I don't know a single I can't point to a single good comedian, like a GOAT comedian, that is like unconditionally pro-Israel. Because it's just like, it's very obviously an inequality. And if you're a good comedian, you see that kind of stuff and you make humor out of that. Someone said Sarah Silverman. Yeah, my point. Exactly. Yeah, Seinfeld. Amy Schumer. Yeah, forgetting Michael Rappaport, are we?
And I'm like, whoa, dude. You moved out because you couldn't survive here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a different...
It's an animal.
It's an animal.
Well, I think the weirdos you're referring to, by the way, were birthed, and I defend this till I'm fucking blue in the face, were birthed at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I think I always push, I was like, people don't know that about the store. They think they hear this like corporate bro, and that happens internally in LA a lot too, where they're like, the store is a fucking, whatever, sellout factory of fucking bro comics. Because
Not anymore.
No, but there was a wash of it that came through, and I think...
Yeah, Joe, they moved to Austin.
But
And real quick here, just based on the voice inflection that Bobby was doing there, I'm almost certain that he was talking about Tony Hinchcliffe. I mean, it's 100% something Tony would say, too.
Oh, you seem like you're thriving. And he goes, "I'm killing it."
So yeah, just an all-around hilarious episode of Bad Friends that I highly suggest you go watch the entire episode of. One thing that this podcast was missing, though, was the larger, more political reason.
It's not even on some political shit, man. It's not even on some political shit. There's a guy who is also close to the Trump admin, Shane Gillis, who is a million times funnier than Tony Hinchcliffe. So before people immediately go, oh, you just don't like Tony because he's like fucking pro-Trump or whatever. No. Okay? Abso-fucking-lutely not. He is a blight. A lot of these a lot of these fucking guys that are in the Joe Rogan orbit that have just like kept a career by being close to Joe Rogan, and even fucking Joe Rogan himself, unironically, are just a stain on comedy. The glaze on Shane is wild. It's not. I don't think Gillis is a Republican. He's kind of woke low-key. No, I know. I'm just saying he's close to Donald Trump, though. Someone said, why don't you like Nanette? I know. Oh, my God. Ugh. That was one of my boldest moments when I was shitting on Nanette at the peak of woke in, like, the first Trump administration, being like, this is not funny at all. What the fuck? It's literally anti-comedy. It's a fucking TED Talk. You guys like to cancel people too much? What? You know what's really funny about that, by the way? People say that all the time. Let me explain something to you. There's a fucking bald sex pest out there who is actively talking about how his dad is going to rape my dad, that has been demanding I get deplatformed. Not once have I ever said he should be deplatformed for saying that. There's another bald fucking monster that lives with cockroaches and constantly calls me a terrorist, actively demanding I get not only deplatformed, but arrested, okay? Not once have I turned around and been like, this guy should be canceled. This guy should be deplatformed. I'm not the one doing it, okay? It's the right that does it all the fucking time. What happened? I thought these guys wanted fucking, free speech, free speech, free speech. It turns out everybody wants free speech until it's the type of speech you don't like.
That Mark Maron called out right-wing podcasters in his special for. But luckily for us, he actually explained it in detail in the Vulture podcast he did nearly 10 days ago, calling out Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe by name, which even if you don't agree with anything Maron says, you have to respect the fact that he calls them out by name here, as most comics are too afraid to seriously go after Joe Rogan in this sort of fashion. But anyways, in this podcast, Mark Maron explains that he's going after these guys because they essentially sided with Trump solely because he was more pro-speech than the other option. But now that he's in office and has acted on these policies, it's almost as if they're acting shocked that he's doing anything like that. I mean, just the other day, Andrew Schultz posted this screenshot to his story reacting to the Trump administration not mandating IVF care. I mean, this sort of thing is happening every day in the Rogan-verse at this point, and Mark touches on that in this Vulture podcast.
And, Rogan and Hinchcliffe and, just a lot of these people just locked into this.
He's a fucking zinner too. My God.
Anti-woke thing. But now,
Oh my God, I just realized. I think the first time I actually encountered nicotine gum was Mark Maron. Oh my God. I think he literally influenced me to quit smoking with nicotine gum. It's just like coming back to me right now. Something that I've done for many others now. Mark Maron has done for me. Full circle.
The government, which is for all practical, good intents and purposes, is an authoritarian government, and we have a fairly dominant fascistic culture. Yeah. So they're using the same language, which is anti-woke, to dismantle all progressive institutions. And, whether you like it or not, or whether that's not what you signed up for, you tied yourself to that horse. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
And, it's not even a matter of unforgivable. It just is what it is. So you can backpedal all you want, but this is the reality, is that, democracy was squashed because of, the policy now of using anti-woke to dismantle the liberal democratic state is something you didn't shut up about.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't the same thing. Well, I just wanted to say the art. Yeah, so that's who I'm talking about. And look, I think a lot of them were just like wanted to land on the side where they could earn a living. Mm. It's challenging.
For years, Joe Rogan has acted like the small guy that the media likes to pile on top of, as if he was the victim, just because he wasn't allowed to make jokes about marginalized groups. But now that they've sort of won that small victory with Trump, they can't play the victim.
Yeah. And it's not even a small victory. It's just like, it's such a stupid fucking victory to win. Oh, we can say the R word now, dude. It's like, you could always say it, dumbass. The fuck? Like, what do you mean? You could always say, you just couldn't say it in a place of business, okay? That's it. And also, if you say it, there are probably going to be, well, not the R word, but, you know, other slurs. If you say it in public, people are going to fucking get mad at you. So it's not necessarily about like, why can't I say it? When these guys are complaining, they're complaining about the repercussions, the backlash that they receive. They actually mean, why can't I say it? And then people actually react positively to it. And you just can't fucking change collective attitudes like that. Okay? That's the issue here. It's not whether you can say it or not. It's that when you say it, people still react negatively to it. That's it.
Card anymore. Also, in this next clip, Mark plainly states again that whenever a Rogan guy makes a joke punching down at trans or gay people or anything of that nature, that it's simply just hack, and it's only offensive because of how unfunny it is.
And in that thing, it's at a point now where it's like you don't have the victim position anymore. You have the dominant position. So why keep kicking? Because it's hackneyed. That, you know, you walk through a comedy club or you go to some in certain cities where it's like there's a prerequisite to do a trans joke. There's a prerequisite to do an R-word joke. There's a prerequisite to push the edge in a very non-risky way.
Yeah. To not push a boundary, but act like you are.
Yeah, and act like, you know, your voice is
Yeah, bro, they're fucking slinging all that shit from the top rope at this point. What do you mean? You're not counterculture, man. You're not. You're not fucking counterculture. You never were. That's not counterculture. That's what's so fucking annoying about this shit. It's just hack material. And you're just mad that your hack material doesn't have broad appeal and you're just fucking coping, which is, again, anti-comedy. When you make a joke and people don't laugh, you're not supposed to go, well, they're wrong for not laughing. You're supposed to go, oh, I fucked up. Let me fix this. Let me make this thing that didn't land funny. But these guys are so goddamn... These guys are so fucking babied. They're so fucking annoying. We're like, this is the principle of making comedy. This is the one thing. There's no other way to do this, okay? There is no other way to do this. You have to go out in front of a crowd and you have to test out your material. And if people don't laugh, you have to go back to the drawing board and rewrite it. But like 90% of cancel culture adjacent comics have basically made it their lives mission to turn their entire fucking stand-up into crying about why people are not laughing at their fucking jokes. And also, you're not always going to appeal to everybody, okay? That's the other thing. That's the other thing. You're not. Not everybody wants to listen to fucking EDM. Some people like rap, okay? It's like fucking complaining about, it's like complaining about the fact that, like, you're not reaching every fucking crowd. Like, 75-year-olds are not listening to hyperpop. What the fuck is this about? This is bullshit. Well, you're not making music for them. I'm using another medium so that, you know, you guys understand. Like, that's how comedy is too.
You know, is somehow dangerous.
Yeah.
There's nothing less dangerous. It's boring.
Yeah. To say what people want you to say is not doing it. You're not transgressing.
Those particular people.
Yeah, yeah.
So pretty much for years, everyone thought that Mark Maron hated Joe Rogan and was just jealous of him. Because up until now, most of his critiques for Rogan were pretty surface level. Like he resented Rogan's athletic background, his overwhelming success, and had an ongoing podcast rivalry with him. Rogan was almost like the more popular version of Maron. And Maron actually confronted Joe on these very issues all the way back in 2011, which at the time felt as if Mark were simply just jealous of Joe.
You know, when I first saw you, I had this problem with guys who were, you know, athletically oriented or had some sort of athletic nature about them before they came into comedy. And I remember that you and Kevin Flynn, he was like a soccer guy.
Yeah.
And you were a kickboxing champion. And there was part of me that was like, this is not for them. This is not their world. Why are they here? Why don't they stay in their competitive world?
Oh, that's silly.
Well, of course it's silly. But you were sort of a cocky fuck then, weren't you?
I don't know. You know, I mean, first of all, you know, like if you're not around someone like that and all of a sudden you're around some guy and you hear this guy's a martial arts champion and now he's doing comedy,
yeah,
I would probably feel the same thing. Like, this is this fucking guy invading our spot and ruining our vibe.
In this podcast, Mark also admitted that he felt that Joe doing Fear Factor disqualified him from being a comedy authority, implying that doing a show so out of sync with thoughtful or serious comedy should have knocked Rogan off any moral or art.
This even in my own experience. I don't do the shit that Cometown did, certainly, but it doesn't matter. Like this presentation is too broy for some people, so they just like immediately fucking write it off. They don't even like want to entertain it. They don't even want to see what this is all about. They just go, oh, that guy's a fucking bro. He's probably like hyper misogynistic and blah, blah, blah. He's probably transphobic, all this shit. And that's the problem. For a lot of people, they just don't. For a lot of people, they can't move past the optics. They just hyper focus on that because for liberals, it's like the beginning and the end of all politics is what your presentation looks like. Okay?
And overall platforming dangerous ideas.
Pterodactyl arms? You supposed to put that nigga on the grill. He ain't even supposed to live.
And if you haven't seen it already.
By the way, ironically, a lot of the new meta, a lot of the new like crop of comedians do actually, like I said, try to do the Cometown thing, but without the actual without the actual background, without the actual political acumen or even investment in like trying to identify who to make fun of or how to make fun of them, that it just only turns into low-hanging fruit. Even the shit that they got like fucking what's his face? Shane. Oh my God, why is my brain? I'm farting. My brain is farting. I'm having a brain fart. Shane Gillis, thank you. Shane Gillis. I can't believe I forgot his name for a second. Like, remember when Shane Gillis was canceled by SNL? He was canceled because they clapped him on the basis of like all of his worst attempts at trying to do Nick Mullen style comedy. Okay. And he had way funnier bits than that. Like he had actually funny moments, like a lot of them. And that's precisely the reason why he just like went back to the drawing board and he has rebuilt his brand and now he's fucking doing SNL all the goddamn time. Right? He has his own projects and things like that. And it was because he found his own voice through this process that made him funny. And is the reason why he's a funny comedian. I know a lot of people in this community especially don't like him. Okay? Because many of you guys don't understand that like when someone is trying to find humor and trying to make people laugh, they're gonna say things that are not funny at all. And if you say something, because no one has the capacity to be fucking 100% all the time. We are allowed to not like comedians? No, for sure. I don't really give a shit ultimately. I'm doing meta-analysis on comedy in general, specifically because we're talking about Mark Maron right now and the Rogan sphere right now. And I'm explaining to you that there are comedians who are actually funny, who have the capacity to be funny, who find their own voices, and comedians who just basically look at trends and follow the notes of Joe Rogan, for example, and try to craft their material off of like low-hanging fruit. And in that process, because of the way that because the only way to do comedy is literally by failing, there's going to be a lot of failures. And in this current meta, when you are saying something, especially if you're trying to touch a culturally sensitive subject matter and you end up failing, people just look at you and go, oh, dude, you are just a grossly racist piece of shit. Fuck you. You're a monstrous piece of shit. Because if you're uninitiated with the process of how to fucking craft a joke, and on top of that, your first interaction with a human being is like them flopping spectacularly on an issue that makes him look like a fucking monster, then yeah, of course you're gonna be like, this guy sucks.
I highly recommend you go watch that entire special. But to give you an idea of what he talks about in that special, here's him poking fun at the idea of Theo Von having Adolf Hitler on his podcast, and what exactly that would sound like.
I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Von's podcast. And Theo would be like, see, y'all did a lot of meth, right? I mean, all the Nazis were all fucked up on meth, right, Hitler? That shit'll make you crazy, dog. I did some meth once. I was up for 3 days, and then I ate a live bird. No shit, Hitler, a live bird, bro. Hey, Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog.
So now he's on a podcast press tour for that new special, and he's...
For the record, that's a good bit. And I hope people don't think that he's doing that. I hope people don't think that Mark is doing that because he thinks like, Theo Von is anti-Semitic because of his position on Israel or whatever. Because if you know Mark Maron's position on Israel, he's been there for a very long time. He's been a anti-Israel guy for a very long time. I hope people know that, okay? He's not doing that because of Israel. He's doing that because of Theo Von's Donald Trump. His Donald Trump podcast, like humanizing Donald Trump. Okay? Understand that. He's Sam Cedars, dude. Yeah. No, I like Mark. He's unk.
Sent shots left and right at the entire Rogan sphere. Like in this recent...
Where had he said he's anti-Israel? Mark Maron? Mark Maron has talked extensively on the issue of Israel. It's actually really interesting because a lot of people don't realize. They know, like many people know Seth Rogen is anti-Israel, but they don't know where that information comes from. That's from fucking What the Fuck? Mark Maron's podcast. Is Mark Maron and Seth Rogen talking about Israel and how fucking weird it is and how fucked up Israel is. That's where that fucking audio comes from. Mark Maron's been on that fuck Israel shit for a long time. Yeah, see? Look.
Probably here.
Mark Maron with guest Seth Rogen. I was fed a bunch of lies about Israel. Yeah, Mark Maron is... A lot of people point to Joe Rogan as like the OG comedy podcaster, but many people don't realize that Mark Maron is the OG comedy podcaster. What the fuck was the Joe Rogan experience before the Joe Rogan experience? Pick one, Mark Maron or Burr. Oh no, I love Bill Burr more than I love Mark Maron, for sure. Or Tom Green. Fair. This is not Tom Green erasure. No, you're right. That's deep lore. You're right about that. I was just exhibiting my bias. But like, I will say that like the impact that like Mark Maron was the guy. He was one of the pioneers of like being a comedian who just does like a one-person podcast.
Recent Bad Friends episode, he goes at Rogan in a pretty hilarious and major way, roasting him for leading an army of enlightened meatheads, and predicting that they'll run out of material pretty quickly, since the majority of jokes that they tell are pretty surface-level jabs at marginalized groups that they've completely beaten into the ground. Like,
That's by the way, an evisceration because it's 100% the truth. Like that's he just clocked them 100 P. That is, I don't know even what else to say. It's just like you're punching down. When do you stop? That's basically what he said on the pod, and it's correct. It's like you've just run out. You've run out. You've exhausted it. You've exhausted the fucking well.
If you know anything about this Rogan era of comedy, you'd know that they do this quite frequently. Like, to this day, they're probably still making COVID-19 jokes. And Mark Maron considers this shtick to be hack.
But yeah, me and who else?
Rogan.
Okay.
Who's that? Who's that?
Joe Rogan.
Joseph Rogan?
Yeah, he's out of Texas.
Oh, Texas. Got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Got it.
Yeah. You love Austin, don't you?
He's running half the planet out of Texas.
Yeah.
He's got a tight hold on the enlightened meatheads.
Dude, Maron's disdain.
It's not disdain. It's reasonable criticism.
Reasonable criticism.
Yeah.
When was the last time you spoke with him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it would have been at the store. I never talked to him in Austin. I don't go into the club. I don't really think I'm on his radar. So
something tells me you are.
Oh yeah.
Something tells me you are.
I don't. It's weird that you get lumped into a certain thing, and maybe it's my assumption that his army of
Kill Tony in this day and age is absolute dog shit comedy. I mean, Kill Tony. I'll say this much: Kill Tony is a brilliant medium ruined by the guy it's named after. Okay? Because the idea of getting new comics to literally test out 3 to 5 minute or 1 to 3 minute bits, I don't know how long it is now, in front of comedy greats is an incredible idea. It is a brilliant idea. Okay? The problem is it's steered by one of the worst comedians of this generation. So for that reason, it's always like fantastic. I used to listen to Kill Tony all the time. I used to listen to Kill Tony, and I would just every time I listened to Kill Tony, I was like, I just wish this wasn't led by Brian Redban and Tony Hinchcliffe. Okay? Like, I don't know if you've ever had a situation like that where you're like, why am I listening to this? This sucks because the fucking hosts are so bad. The guests are good. Okay? And the concept is great, but god damn is the execution so ass because it's directionally led by the worst. The worst fucking people. That's why I stopped watching it, because I could not deal with like how creepy and shitty it got at moments where I was just like, ugh. Joe Rogan orbiters have been a stain on comedy, and it's like a thing that you have to do. You have to go on Joe Rogan if you want to reach the largest audience possible, and I totally understand that. And a lot of people go on Joe Rogan and then take it one step further because it's like the only thing that they can rely on in terms of like maintaining a career. But I think it's just, it is destroyed